So your pH is lower than it should be, and you want a simple and affordable solution to bump that pH up and get faster coral growth. I'm Thomas, and this is the BRS CO2 scrubber along with the BRS color changing media. We're gonna dive into its details and look at how it works alongside your protein skimmer to solve those low pH issues. Protein skimmers are, in many cases, the primary source of gas exchange for our reefs, and that can be a huge advantage for preventing that elevated level of CO2 in our homes from making its way into our reef tanks. By placing something that can remove CO2 from the air in front of the airline that feeds into the protein skimmer venturi, we can get a nice bump up in pH that our corals will more than appreciate. That's where the BRS CO2 scrubber, along with that color changing media, comes in. They are affordable, heavy-duty, simple to work with, and effective reactors with 3/8" barbed fittings and pre-cut tubing so they can be added in line to virtually any protein skimmer venturi. They include a refillable cartridge for easy maintenance, and they can be mounted inside of the stand or sit on the floor next to the sump. You can fill it up with your preferred CO2 scrubbing media, and it'll go to work raising the pH so you can keep those corals growing strong. When you unbox your universal CO2 scrubber, you'll find the scrubber itself with those 3/8" barbs already installed, 6 feet of 3/8" clear tubing, along with a canister wrench. The CO2 scrubbing media is sold separately. There are actually 3 models available: the universal model that I've got here, as well as the jumbo and the duo jumbo. The universal model is roughly 6.5 inches wide, 5.5 inches front to back, and 13.5 inches tall with a 10-inch refillable cartridge, and will be the go-to for most reefers, holding enough media to last around 2 weeks or more depending on the airflow rate of the skimmer and the CO2 level in your home. I personally found on my 80-gallon reef system with an appropriately sized skimmer and a CO2 level in the room between 600 and 750 parts per million on average, that the media will last somewhere between 3 to 4 weeks before I start getting a decrease in that pH bump and I have to swap it out for new media. For those reefers with much larger systems, or who have abnormally high CO2 in their home, or who just really want to reduce the number of times they need to swap out the media, the jumbo and the duo jumbo can be great options as well. Now I'm sure you've noticed that these CO2 scrubbers look an awful lot like an RO canister, and you're right, which also means they're built solid like one too, while also being quite affordable at just about half the cost of the next cheapest CO2 scrubber, which is great considering they all work roughly the same way. Sure, you might not be able to hang it off the side of your tank or sump, but they are easy as pie to work with. Setup is really quick and easy. Unscrew the canister, remove the cartridge, open it up, and fill it with color-changing CO2 absorbing media. Add 1 tablespoon of RDI water to the bottom of the canister, and then put it back together. To hook it up to your skimmer, you can either attach the tubing to the air intake of your protein skimmer's air silencer, or sometimes easier, just bypass the air silencer and attach the CO2 scrubber directly to your skimmer's venturi, and the CO2 scrubber will also act as an air silencer. As the media becomes exhausted, it'll slowly change color from a white to a light purplish pink, and once the majority of the media has changed colors, or if you notice that bump in pH is decreasing, you'll know it's time to swap it out for new media. Whenever it's time to swap the media, I also like to give everything a quick rinse, dry it off, and then add a fresh tablespoon of RDI water to the canister before putting the cartridge back in. Depending on the humidity in the room or under the aquarium cabinet, you may find that you actually get a buildup of moisture or water inside of the CO2 scrubber, and if it gets high enough to start soaking the media, you'll want to remove the canister, dump out that excess water to keep the media from getting soaked so it can keep on doing its job. The average reefer can expect to achieve a bump in pH of somewhere between 0.1 to 0.2. As an example, without the CO2 scrubber, the pH in my tank could get as low as 7.9 even during the day, and with the scrubber, I'll often achieve a pH right around 8.2, and that absolutely provided a noticeable effect on coral growth. And absolutely, don't just take my word for it. You can check out the pile of reviews from other reefers by clicking right here, a few of which have some surprisingly impressive results.